Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody to the Columbia Cisco Mid-Atlantic Users Group meeting. Very excited about the large turnout here. We have some more chairs in the back, and as I said, coffee is on its way. So I'd like to get started here, and I want to introduce Terry Slattery, who's a principal consultant for Chesapeake NetCraftsmen. And Terry's going to be talking on voice over IP troubleshooting and metrics, and I'll just
Everyone hear me okay? Anyone not hear me? Raise your hand if you cannot hear me. Boy, you did that with a straight face too. How's that? Is that any better? Okay. Can you see okay? You might want to move over there because I'm going to be walking here. So what we're going to talk about today is voice over IP troubleshooting, monitoring some of the metrics for voice over IP. Appreciate all you folks showing up here. It's quite a crowd. Let's see, a bunch of techniques you can use in your network. You can read as well as I can, I guess. So the real challenge here is in the old times, the old days, back when we went to school and it was 3 miles each way uphill through the 3 feet of snow. So back in the old days, you had a PBX. A bunch of copper ran out, home run back to the PBX. You had one place, you had all your eggs in one basket, you watched that basket very, very carefully. And UPS on it, everything was fine. It ran power out over those wires to the phones. Voila, we have voice over IP, and guess what? The network is the PBX. So the entire network needs to be up and running for your voice to run. So every switch out there that has phones plugged into it, or is in the path of a phone, has to have UPS on it if you want to survive a power outage. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going on here. You have your hardware, your links down here, your routing protocols, all this stuff has to be working, routing and switching protocols, your communications protocols, the transport of these, and then you get up to, gosh, the application. This is where the stuff really happens. So that entire stack has to work correctly for your voice over IP work, for you to have voice. Let's see. Let's go low. That might help too. So in order to do troubleshooting, to help you in troubleshooting, what you should do is to think about this stack. If you have a problem down here, guess what? You don't need to think about any of these problems. If you have a routing problem, this stuff, hopefully you've already figured out that, hey, I have a routing problem. I don't need to worry about any of the troubleshooting that might go on down here, and I also don't need to worry about troubleshooting up here. I focus on the routing and switching protocols and troubleshooting there. So use that as a way to decompose the entire problem of, oh, I have voice over IP running. Where do I start for troubleshooting? Well, it really depends on what the symptoms are. And if you can describe a set of symptoms that narrow it down to, oh, it's a routing protocol problem, or it's a link problem, or something like that, or congestion, then you have a handle on where you need to start doing your active troubleshooting. And you can dispense with all the other things that you might think about that might be involved in voice over IP. So it helps you focus. The other one is down here in terms of the call operation. So you have connectivity and registration. Again, all of this stuff is running over here. This is up here, okay? You have connectivity and registration is, kind of the basics. Is it plugged in? Does it have power? Then call setup. Can it actually set up a call? And then what happens in call operation? And then there are a bunch of miscellaneous services over here. So again, you can decompose your troubleshooting into various steps here. And once you zero in on a step, you don't have to worry about the troubleshooting at the other steps. Until you've satisfied yourself the problem either exists there and you've solved it, or it doesn't exist there, it's at a different layer. So you can use these to your advantage. So let's do a quick review on how VoIP works. And this is a quick, high-level view. This is not really how it works. It's good enough for you to get a good mental model on things. So you have this initial, well, first of all, the phone powers up down here, so it connects in to a switch. And there's something called the fast link pulse that the switch sends out to the phone. The Cisco phones have a little relay in them. It's closed, comes back to the switch. And the switch goes, oh, this guy needs power. Feeds out full power. The phone powers up. The phone then does CDP back to the switch. It says, I only need 4 watts of power instead of full power. The switch goes, ah, cool. So they can ratchet back the amount of power it's delivering on that port, make effective use of its internal power supply. The phone then does a DHCP request. It has no address at this point, just has a MAC address. DHCP request. Might be a local DHCP server, might be a remote DHCP server. I'll talk about that. So it gets an address, gets the address in the DHCP reply of the TFTP server, goes out to the TFTP server over here, grabs its config. Gets that. And notice we're running across the entire network here. Perhaps the DHCP also ran across the network if you had a centralized DHCP server. So this is where how much of the stack and how much of the network links, etc., are involved. All right, so it has its config file. The config file gives it the address of a call server, which it is supposed to connect. And so now the red line here, burgundy line, goes out and it's making a connection to the essential site to the call server. By the way, if you have any questions, raise your hand. So now we have a connection to the call server. Now we actually want to place a call. So let's talk about call setup and operation. So here we have step 1 out here. Somebody picks up the handset on the phone. It goes off hook. Call controller then is going to talk to the phone and pick up the digits. Somebody's dialing them. So it's going to do the initial call setup at that point. Provide a ringback tone. So this is where the goes in. Okay, and all it's doing is it's telling the phone to play back that audio file. Call setup on phone 2. It's already collected the digits. It's telling this guy to ring internally, the ringback tone. Talk to this phone and says, you have an incoming call. I need you to ring. So now it rings. Somebody hopefully will answer the phone. So it goes off hook. And now call controller says, you guys, I need you to talk to you. Come over here and have your conversation. And that's theoretically what goes on there. Now this is, as I noted down here, these are the basic steps. There's really a lot more that goes on here. But conceptually, this gives you an idea of talk to the phone 1, get its information, do some simple commands here, ring back and stuff like that, connect it to phone 2, do its control, tell them to talk to each other, and bingo, you have a phone call going on. So all sorts of problems can go on in here. That's what we're here to talk about. By the way, if you're interested in some aids for troubleshooting, there's a neat little website called VoIPtroubleshooter.com. Go on the left-hand side over here, online diagnosis. They have these neat tables, a variety of them, call setup, network problems, user symptoms, etc., including a calculator here.